And welcome to another episode of Mysterious Forces Live. I'm here at the 2019 Disclosure Con in Pine Top, Arizona. And as you can probably guess, this is Brad Olsen. And you know who Brad Olsen is. If you watch this show, you know who he is. So I'm not even going to try to play that. I'd like to talk to Brad about his recent world travels. And this is a really hot mic, so you don't have to hold it real close.
Okay.
Can you just tell us about the recent trip you had and what research you were doing?
Sure. So about a year ago, I was heading down to South America for 4 months, traveled to 5 countries in South America. I bought a SUV that we could sleep in, cook out of, and get us place to place. And we got all the way down to Ushuaia, southernmost city of the world in Argentina. And that's where I was able to find a sailboat to go to Antarctica for Emily Infinity and I. We went for 26 days, 14 of us on a 76-foot sailboat.
So you're an experienced sailor, like you had the skills intact to do that?
I do have some skills. My dad used to have a sailboat, and we've done some trips in the Caribbean and the Great Lakes. And it's a good question because unlike a cruise ship where you go as a guest, we were part of the crew. And so we were helping with the watch, chores around the boat, as well as poking the ice away with poles when we got down there.
Were you able to do any kind of exploration or research or even maybe take photographs that ties in with some of the research that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm giving my talk here in a half hour at Disclosure Con about the trip down to Antarctica, as well as some of the research stations and science that's being done down there, and some of the mysteries and the skepticism of what might be down there and what might really still be hidden away.
This is being pre-recorded, and so this will air long after the fact.
Okay.
Is there anything that it wouldn't be a spoiler alert now, but did you come to any conclusions that you're going to be revealing in your lecture?
Well, we did find that there's a massive no-fly zone right near the South Pole, and that is the region where Admiral Byrd said he saw it. Other whistleblowers have said they've seen it, and it is supposed to be this massive opening under the ice. And at the South Pole, it's over 2 miles thick of ice down to the bedrock. So it could also, with all the volcanoes in Antarctica, which is the most volcanically active continent in the world with 91 volcanoes, create these big domes under the ice, which could be geothermically heated. So a good possibility that things are hidden down there.
For context, do you think, are we talking military use or are we talking perhaps extraterrestrial?
I think it could be both. It could even still be a contingent of the Germans who escaped after World War II generations later, but if they had set up a base. And a whole bunch of Ukrainian women went missing right after World War II as well, thousands, and they presume they went down there to be mating couples with some of the scientists and other Germans that escaped.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Did you see any other signs of civilization down there that would be perhaps out of place, not what you would typically see with the research outposts and what's associated with the infrastructure for that, but anything that might give a clue that something unusual is going on, or at least something that governments won't acknowledge or talk about, other than the no-fly zone, obviously?
Well, we were going to research station after research station, 6 in total, and every one of them I quizzed anyone I could, from research chief to marine biologists to other scientists that are studying global change down there. And not a lot of people had any information about the craft under the ice or antediluvian civilization or archaeological digs to discover some of these megalithic structures and pre-Adamite giants that Corey Good speaks of that have been recovered down there. Nobody really knew about that. But there was one base that was a Argentinian base, and they knew from some comrades at another base called Belgrano 2 that they had a sighting late last year of disc and craft and orbs and lights flying over that base, and everybody rushed out to see it, and it was kind of the inter-base chatter among them talking about what they had seen.
Wow, that's amazing. So we're just going to kind of shoot across the board here, and I'm wondering what your take is on climate change, what you think perhaps some of the causes are, and how that works into this, maybe on the macro scale.
That's a great question. There was some climatologists we met at the Palmer base, U.S. base down there, who were studying exactly that. And this particular region of the Palmer Peninsula has been experiencing a large amount of melting going on. Now, I have a NASA map in my presentation that shows the whole of Antarctica, where some places are actually gaining in ice and others are dropping in ice. So somehow Mother Nature has this equilibrium balance because the ocean levels aren't rising, at least not dramatically. In fact, I flew back via Miami Beach. I had a 12-hour layover. I went down to the beach, and there's no sea level rise there. And water seeks its own level. So if one part of the oceans rise, they all connect, they would all rise up. But it just hasn't happened that way yet.
Where do you think this is going to lead as we get on? And there's a lot of talk about climate change, and some would call it propaganda, some would call it information, but there's definitely conjecture. But 10 years from now, we're going to see some kind of evidence as to whether, yes, this is really happening, or no, this isn't as bad as what they said. How do you think this is all going to look in 10 years?
10 years
I mean, could this possibly reveal an underground base or other infrastructure down there that they don't want revealed? And since it's being powered by climate change, whatever the cause is, would that somehow maybe kind of force some level of disclosure?
That's a great question. If you're familiar with the Piri-Reis map from 1519, was the year it was drafted, and it was said it was based on source maps going all the way back to the Library of Alexandria into the BC era. It shows islands that have yet to be discovered. In fact, around the Palmer base, they've had so much meltage that new islands are being revealed that they didn't know was even there before. So even though 10 years is just a tiny blip in the geological time frame, it does suggest that things are moving fast. When new islands are emerging the next season, when their summers, of course, are opposite ours, that new islands and new seascapes, as well as the penguins, are migrating in different ways. So warm weather penguins are coming into the cold water territory of the Adelie, and those penguin colonies are dropping dramatically by about 60%, whereas the Gentoo and the chinstrap penguins are doing just fine, and their numbers are going up because they're opportunistic hunters. They're coming down into the colder waters. So there's these little details that are going on that suggest something global is happening. How it's happening, if it's just cycles or if it is the pollution we're putting in the air, it remains to be seen. But it's remarkable that in Antarctica you have areas that are gaining in ice while other areas are dropping.
Do you think that it's literally, like a canary in the coal mine in terms of what we're about to see geologically?
Sure. Well, it really is, because Antarctica is just such an untouched wilderness that if anything is happening on a global level, it's happening elsewhere to affect this continent, which has just been trapped in ice for so many millennia, that if we start seeing some major calving of these glaciers, then you could be right. We could be seeing some giant caverns being revealed, and already massive ice cavern systems are also coming out from the melting.
So are you working on any new books or video or film projects? Is this affecting future projects, or what do you have going in terms of what's next for you?
Yeah, I'm working on the third and final book in my esoteric series. It's Modern Esoteric, Future Esoteric, and the third will be Beyond Esoteric, which will come out about this time next year, fall 2020.
Are you continuing to do lectures? I know that really the ufology circuit is kind of dying down at this time of year, but do you have personal appearances scheduled for next year? Will people be able to find you?
Yeah, I have already 6 conferences scheduled for next year, starting in January in Cocoa Beach, Florida. I'm at UFO MegaCon in February, Contact in the Desert, Human Origins, the 5D Las Vegas event, and then another one about a year from now Irvine.
That's cool. So I know you're really busy here, and you've had a lot of people come to your table, and you've been interacting a lot. I don't want to keep you too long. Can you just tell everyone how to find you, what your website is, and how to get a hold of your material?
Sure. If you're interested in what I'm up to, you go to bradolsen.com. Find me on Facebook as well, or Twitter, CCC Publishing. That's the name of my website. You can go to cccpublishing.com to see any of my books and then the other authors that I publish. And I also have a YouTube channel called Esoteric Series. You see some of the almost 100 videos I have uploaded there.
That's awesome. I'm hoping that you'll come back on the regular studio show when you have more time. Maybe we can do a half hour, an hour conversation, because I know that like in the few minutes that we've talked, we just kind of skimmed the surface. But you and I have had a couple of great conversations, and I enjoy talking to you. So hope you'll come back on.
Oh, you bet. I always enjoy talking to you too, and I'm going to give you a copy of one of my books.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So this is Brad Olsen. Find his material, read his books. He's done a lot of great work. We're at DisclosureCon 2019 in Pine Top, Arizona. I've done this so many times. It was like, where am I at again? I'm in Pine Top, Arizona. It's beautiful up here. We're on the Apache Reservation, and once again, we always appreciate their hospitality and their kindness in helping us hold this event here on native land. So Brad Olsen, thanks for being here. Thank you for watching. If you haven't liked, you know what to do. If you haven't already subscribed, I don't know what's wrong with you, but please share the video if you like it. And thank you for spending your time here with Mysterious Forces Live. I appreciate you guys, and thanks for watching.